Hello there, welcome to his garage. I'm kneeling here near a scooter. It's a Honda NSC50 Vision, and I bought it for my daughter. She has just turned 15 and she needed something to practice on for her driving license. The intention is not that she will use this daily, but I thought, well, I can buy something and then I sell it again when she's been bored, because she has another vehicle that I will show you one day, and I think that one's a bit more interesting to drive daily. Now, I bought this scooter unserviced, so there are quite a few things to do on it right now. Just about everything, I would say. Engine oil, transmission oil, brake fluids even, valve clearance. I'll check the spark plug, I'll check the air filter and the drive belt and so on. But right now I'll start by draining the transmission oil. And yeah, oils, that's another story. The specification says that there should be, and let me think now, that there should be this JASO MB classified oil. So I went to some dealers and checked, and then no, they have the MA oil. And what's the difference? There's even something called MA2. Well, it seems like they have different friction for the wet clutch, but this thing has a dry clutch. You can even see it. The clutch is there under the paper. There's a little bearing that I don't want to get dirty, so I put a bit of paper on it. Now, yeah, so I talked to 2 Honda dealers, and let me think now. One used one oil, well, all of them were MA or MA2, of course, and one used that brand of oil and another one used another brand of oil, and so didn't really seem to matter. And then I asked also, what should I put in the transmission? A transmission oil, because I've seen that there are small bottles with a little pointed end that you can push the oil in quite easily into the transmission. And they just said, use what you get left in the bottle, because the engine takes about almost 0.8 liters and the transmission is less than 0.2, so it's no problem. So I'll drain the transmission now. Let's see how that works. So I'll clean the plug, because especially the filling plug, I don't want any dirt at all to come in. Then getting sand into this transmission is just going to kill it. So it needs to be really clean. Let's drain this thing. Drain plug is here. Like that, good. There we go. The filler plug. Well, so the everything looks fine here. Everything is clean. Just a few drops coming. Now I will put this one back, and we'll put that one back in place. Now there are different ways of filling, of course, because you can't just put a bottle in the hole. Now, aluminium threads. That feels right. I filled up a little pump. Let's see if this works. So I should pump until it floods. An alternative is of course to put a little funnel on the hose there. It's flooding. Alright. So the brake system has two small containers of hydraulic brake fluid. One here at the front brake cylinder, and then the left hand brake also has, well, it's a double brake system. Some might not know, but it's like an old Moto Guzzi or something. So braking with the, but that one it's on the pedal. Anyhow, it's kind of the same principle. It's just that Guzzi have that lever as a clutch, of course. Anyhow, so this one pulls something here, and there's a hydraulic cylinder here, braking the front and the rear. So there are two small containers, and I have cleaned this one, and I will see what it's like there. Let me take a look. And the brake fluid, I bought 5.1, probably the more expensive version, but it's said to be mixable with both .4 and .3, so should be fine. There's something written here. Well, it says .3 or 4. That 5.1 should be mixable with this, so let's hope for the best. Will I spill something? It's not good to get brake fluid on the paint. Yeah, just in case. You never know. What's this? Let's see. Whoops. Well, that's a little tiny little thing, okay. Not much liquid in there. Alright. Then I will have to open up down here. Let me see now. A little bleeder hose. There we go. And I push, pressurize, and open. And close. And press and open. Press, open. And let's see now. Yeah. Well, I will not bore you with this that much. I will press, open, close, release, press, open. And then I do like this, and then I need to make sure that I don't get this container empty. So I will fill. And then I just keep on doing this. It's nothing special. So I filled this one 3 times, and now just wipe a little oil off the edge and put these things back in place. Yeah, very exciting, but it's good to do. I really recommend that this is done every second year or something like that. The brake fluid absorbs moisture, and if one doesn't do this, then you will get corrosion inside the brake system. And if you're, well, this isn't really something for racing, but if you drive really hard, then you can get some kind of internal vapor lock in the brake system, and then you're just out of brakes if the brake fluid is old and full of moisture. So on the Megane RS, of course, before every season I put in a high temperature brake fluid. Okay, then it's the next one. Let me see here. Needs to be moved a bit. Let's see how this works. It's a tiny little container. And well, what can go wrong here? Let me see. Looks fine. Same story, little lid. There we go. Okay. Cute little things. Now let's see, then it's the other brake handle. So, a bit of pressure, open. No, nothing happens. Do I need to release something here? Because it's, of course, braking the rear at the same time. Oh well, I disconnected the brake at the rear because I thought I needed more travel here, but that was not the trick. This one can push, and then you just forget about that one. And and the brake caliper has two nipples, two air or bleeding valves or bleeding nipples, whatever you call it. So it doesn't matter what you do with the top one, that's just for the right hand. So, well, learning by doing. Now, if I pressurize this thing and open this lower one, then the level is decreasing. Good. That's the way. Okay. Yeah, so I've refilled so I've kind of flushed this 3 times or something, and time to put it back. No, come on. There we go. Nothing on the outside. And that little screw. After this change of brake fluid, I will check for this spark plug. That's another thing. The gap should be between 0.8 and 0.9 millimeters. I doubt that there will be any need for adjustment. I will check it anyhow, just for the show, so to speak. There we go. Fine. Next thing is the spark plug. The engine is air cooled, and there's a air channel going from the fan over the cylinder, and inside this channel there sits this spark plug, and I will try to remove it. Just a second. First electrical connection, and then I will clean a bit so I don't get any dirt into the cylinder. Let's see, it's not. And then the spark plug is a 16mm socket, or has a 16mm socket fit. It sits quite deep into this hole. There we go. The access is a bit weird. It's rare that the access is as tight as it is here. Okay, here it comes. There we go. Yeah, as you can see, the spark plug looks really good, but I will check the dimension. Yeah, and the gap should be between 0.8 and 0.9 millimeters with this ignition system that this engine has. So let's see, I have 0.85 in the middle, and it fits perfectly well. So the spark plug is fine in every way. I will just put it back again. Yeah, so there is no torque setting for this spark plug. It just says that you should turn it until contact and then 1/8 of a lap or a turn. Yeah, not 1/4, half of that, 1/8. So let's see. If the spark plug would have been new, you should tighten the new washer bit with 1 turn, I think, and then back it out a bit again, and then you take it to 1/8 of a turn or a lap. Let's see how this goes. So I have contact. Now let's see here, like this. Not sure I even want to tighten it that much. There we go. There it sits. Oh, come on. And the cable, let me see here, it should sit like that. Good, so spark plug is checked. Okay, now it's time for taking off the valve cover, and I've cleaned it quite a bit here, and I will take it off with those 2 screws, and you will see the rockers and the camshaft and so on inside there. So I've taken off the valve cover. This little thing sits with 2 screws, and there's this breather hose here that I've taken off. Easy thing to do. Now the valve clearance on this engine should be 0.2 millimeters on both valves. It's the same on inlet and outlet valves. The clearance is 200 of a mil. So the clearance should be between 0.18 and 0.22. It's a bit odd that it's the same on both, but because the exhaust side typically runs a bit hotter. But anyhow, that's the way it is. So I have a feeler gauge. One can't do this without a feeler gauge. Well, you could put an indicator clock here instead, of course, but yeah, that's maybe a bit of an overkill. So the inlet is here, let's see, and this is 0.2 2. And I have... No, wait a minute. I need to take the other one because I have just turned the engine, and it's the exhaust cam's lobe that sits or points that way now. So now it's the exhaust. Yeah, it's the exhaust rocker that has the play. So I will have to take this one from underneath without getting any dirt on it. It's a bit difficult to see, but there we go. There it is. Now it's in between. Now I can feel when I have the 0.20 gauge in between, I can feel just a slight gap, but it's I can't imagine that it's 0.25. That would be out of tolerance, so I will just double check, but I can't imagine that I can get 25 in there. Here we have 25. No, 0.25 doesn't fit. So it's fine. I would guess that the valve clearance then is maybe 0.22, 0.23 something. I can't measure down to the last 100, but it's slightly over 0.20, and that's fine. If it's 0.22, it's within tolerance, and it's on the hotter side, so I'm not worried at all. Now let's check the inlet valve, but then I have to turn the engine. So let's see how this works. I have taken off the transmission cover where the transmission belt is. So I have access so I can turn the crankshaft manually. It's quite easy. And I will have to look at the cam lobes now. You can see, where is it? There it is. Even though the spark plug is in place, I can turn it quite easily. There comes the cam lobe, so the cam is on the opposite side now. So I should have some play here. Yep, I do. Let's clean this thing again. 0.20. See. Yep. 0.20 goes in, but there's no, and it's not even perfectly through, but it's there. 0.20, no gap. It's really spot on, perfect. So, yeah, I'm happy, very happy. I don't have to change anything. If it now would have been too big, I would have to loosen the nut and then turn with that little screw there, and then have the gauge in between and then tighten it so I feel that I have the right gap. And then I would have to take the gauge away and then tighten the nut while not turning the screw. I've done that on some other engines, and sometimes you don't get it right. You have to do it a couple of times, worst case. But it's an easy job. And as you can see, it's also a cute little timing chain here. I'm so happy that there's no timing belt on this engine. So yeah, I will see now if the valve cover is clean. I will clean it a bit. Or dry it. The gasket, one could wonder if one would need a new gasket or not, but it looks really elastic and fresh and so on, so I would be surprised if there would be some oil leak with this gasket here. Let me see if there's any debris. Let me see here. So that is very clean. It's not that easy to get access. Here's the fuel line, by the way. Goes to the injector, so no carb. Yep. Nice and clean, no dirt. I just want to put a little bit of oil on the area where I've taken the feeler gauge in between. I just want to fill that little gap with some oil. Okay. All right. Time for the cover. we go. Not so exciting. I will tighten this in the next one. And the breather hose, and of course it goes under the fuel line, nothing else, like that, and down in its little pocket. Easy, right? Yeah, good luck. Yeah, here you can see the air filter. It sits with this cover here like that, or behind this cover. There's a little drain hose here that should not be obstructed, and it is not. There's another little cover that you have to take away first. It sits over here, and this thing has a seal here. When you take it away, make sure that it doesn't come out of position. The service interval for the air filter is about 4 times the mileage that this scooter has done. So what was it? It was 16,000 kilometers. So we are far away from that. Still, it looks a bit dirty though. So I will, from the inside, just carefully blow a little air, but very carefully. And I will just do it from the inside and maybe from the side to get away a little bit of dirt here. But what Honda is really keen on to be checked is this little tube here, and they say that it's part of the crankcase ventilation, and if you ride a lot in rain, they said that you have to check it more frequently, but I don't really understand what the problem is. Let me see if I take away this one. And now this is the clean side, so inside here everything must be very, very clean. No, should not let any dirt at all to stay in there. But this little tube, what's this? There we go. So what's so special with this one? Aha, it should even be, it should be transparent. Now it's just dirty. They say that if you see that there's water standing here, then you need to help it out a bit. It looks welded here. How can this be a piece of the crankcase ventilation? Anyhow, I will just clean it, and that's that. But this is something to keep your eyes open for, that there should not be water standing in this one. Ah well, I have just very carefully cleaned the air filter slightly from the inside with some air, and just making sure that there's no dirt here, because this is the side where it goes directly into the engine, so I don't want any dirt to get in here, of course. It's fine. Here we have the slightly less dirty air filter. There we go. And then the cover. Everything looks normal. Okay. And I'll put a screw in place so nothing falls off. Okay, I will take all the other screws later on here. Now, I can't really understand how they can call this to be a part of the ventilation. Maybe that's some error in the translation in the documents that I've been reading. But anyhow, Now it's clean on both the inside and the outside, and I will just there we go, and the clamp. Fine. Okay. As you can see, there's also this belt here, and it looks like new, I must say. Nothing to do with that one. And there's of course nothing to tension. The whole engine sits or is a part of the suspension. So the engine is moving with the rear wheel, or it's being tilted with the rear wheel, so there's nothing to change here. One thing that is a bit weird though is that this cover is completely loose, as you can see, and it's part of the starter motor. So when I put the casting back here again, I need to be very careful so that nothing is misaligned there. And I've kept this bearing shaft under protection. I would say that this transmission cover you only need to remove if you suspect that there's something wrong with the clutch or the belt as such. I must say that this looks very good, and I've had no reason to suspect anything weird here. I'm more curious than really in need of servicing something. Again, this one, if you take this away, then this should go into the or over the shaft of the sprocket for the starter. So make sure that you don't miss that. Now, if you would need more or like to have more speed, then there are different types of variators to buy from companies like, what is the name? Polini and Malossi and those companies. Then you will get a different gearing. But I'm not really into that with this bike. I don't know the exact pattern for how to tighten these screws, but one should do it a bit diagonally. That's the typical way of tightening large covers. So, double checked, all are okay. Good, then there is the air cleaner, or the air filter box, one could call it. Good. Then everything here is tight. No forgotten screws. Very good. Well. Now I've shown you all the service points on this little scooter. There's one thing remaining though, and that's the engine oil. I will do that tomorrow. I'll do it outside. And tomorrow I'll also show you how to put on all these covers and the saddle and so on. I haven't shown you how to take that off. I also want to make things a bit more clean and tidy. Well, I will continue. Let's see how that goes. Yeah, so it's a bit cleaner now. I will demonstrate a bit about how to install all the covers that you need to remove and reinstall when you do this service. So to get access to the brake fluid reservoir, one has to take away the headlamp unit like this, and it sits with a connector of course to the high beam low beam unit or lamp like that. Then it sits with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different screws, and one has to try to get it over one has to try to get it around this handle here, the left brake handle, and I got the camera gear in the way. There we go. Let's see. So it partly snaps into position. There are some cables and stuff to clear here below the throttle handle. Then it's just the screws. Let me see here. So 3 on this side. And 3 more on the left side. Yeah, so here in the front there are some plastic clips. Honda, they fancy these clips where you, well, it comes like this with this little thing or pin a bit retracted. Then you push it in and you put it in position and it snaps in. Then when you want to release it, you push it another few millimeters inboards, and as you can see they break, so I have to order a few new. €3 each, so be a bit careful. On the inside of the cover there sits these 2 white clips and they snap in here. It's a bit of a pull to get this cover off, and be careful up here in this area so you don't just kind of get it loose a bit in a bit of a violent manner and then it scratches something under here. So put some little cloth or something on the cover here when you do this pull. And well, as you can see, the battery is here, but there's nothing to do with the battery right now. It's charged and okay. So let's see here. Yeah, you see, you can damage something there. I will even put something on top there now so I don't damage it. So let's see. There we go. Snaps in position quite well, but as you can see, even this thin piece kind of touches the screw head there, so yeah, be careful. Alright, then it's this little clip under here. Okay, and then 2 screws. There we go. Then mirrors. There we go. So in theory one should be able to do service of the spark plug and the valves just by removing this service cover, as they call it. But I prefer to take away the whole seat unit instead. Now this one should swing in and out of position here. Let me see. Lots of small guiding things that don't really want to go in where I want them to go in. Let me see now. Yep. There we go, and then 2 screws. Okay, now for the seat there are 4 screws and they are in pairs. These ones that have small guiding collars or something like that here, they should be at the rear, and those that are without should be in the front because the guiding collars are welded to the frame there. So let's see. Yeah, the seat didn't really want to line up here, it wanted to stay on top, but I managed to get it into position. These holes were not well centered, but now they are much better. They are even good. So let's see here. Okay, and the 2 in the rear, which has these collars. There are 2 screws here, but I think I need to put on the cover first. So I'll just tighten these up. Okay, there we go. And then, the VIN number cover. Come on. There we go. Now it's in position. And then we have this little fuel lid cover, whatever you call it. Sit something like this. Okay. And I have 4 screws remaining. This is perfect. There we go. Good. And then it's time for the luggage holder. There we go. All right. This should be it. Now before the oil change, I'll just start up the engine and let it warm up a bit for some minutes. Let's see if it goes. Yeah, tiny little engine, doesn't make much noise, but one day I'll see if I can get it to sound a bit nicer, but that's another story. Don't know if the camera will catch it, but it has some nice front end thumper vibration, like an old British bike, shaking the mirrors and the whole headlight unit quite a bit. Now I'll let it idle here for a few minutes, then it's time to drain the oil. Now here on the right hand side one will find the oil plug underneath here, 17mm socket, so it's just to open up and put the basin under. And then, yeah, let it drain. Old dirty oil coming out. Here on the other side we have the so-called oil filter, also 17mm here. Just to loosen it up and carefully take things apart and notice how the strainer sits here. Not much oil coming out here, but some newspapers are good to have because the basin is a bit difficult to get in position because the stand is exactly where the oil. And as you can see, there's a little bit of dirt in this strainer, so I'll take some compressed air and just blow it out. Then on the oil
plug. 24 Newton meters. That's the torque for the oil plug. And if one doesn't have a torque meter, then just conventional wrench, and be careful not to over tighten. Yeah, this should work. And the this little O-ring on the, well, what is it? A nut? No, it's a large weird screw. Looks fine, so there's no issues with that. And the tightening torque is 20 Newton meters. Well, so one should try to aim for something like that. And be careful not to drop any dirt down into the oil fill hole. So clean the area quite well. And then I take this little funnel and try to fill up the engine with recommended oil level, or to the recommended oil level. Oh well, now the bike is fully serviced. Good, ready for a test ride. Will be interesting to see how it runs. Bye for now.